Hi, everybody. Another episode of the Demetri Podcast. Today, our guest is Dimitri. Correct me if I say it wrong.
On this side?
Yeah.
All right.
Correct me if I say your last name wrong, because last names are in our community always said wrong. Sidiropoulos?
Yeah.
All right, cool. All right. I always tell people they pronounce my last name right anyway. So, how's your day, Dimitri?
It's good. Welcome to Brooklyn.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Oh, my pleasure. Again, in the trades, you got to fix it in like on person. Like you got to be there.
Yes.
You can't fix it through Zoom.
Right. There's no working from home.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about you, your company, and how you got into this business.
So I am born and raised in New York City, born in Staten Island, lived here in Brooklyn for a long time, and now moved on to Jersey, had a family, 3 kids, came into the business through my dad. My dad started the business in 1980, so 40 plus years. I don't want to do the math right now. And now I'm second generation in the business. We do mostly industrial mechanical work for the city of New York, state of New York, sometimes federal contracts. And we have approximately 50 employees, and we're growing every day.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So a lot of people join the trades and don't go beyond sole proprietor.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And then the same thing, let's say in the immigrant community, there's trust factors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like when we try to add an employee, if they don't fit our culture, if they kind of fall out of line, that's our mistake. Right? So when you go from, small business to medium-sized business and maintaining this business, what do you think is an important factor when hiring a new person? Like what kind of qualities do they need to have before they join your team?
I think first, most important is making sure that your quality is where you want it to be, right? Before you can tell somebody else how to do it. So once you figure that out and you figure out what you want your company to look like and what kind of work you want to perform, based on that, you can go to the pool of potential employees and hopefully find a fit that will fit in. Right. A lot of times that takes a while and there's lessons learned and trial and error. But if you can get that right and find the people that one will work in your vision and believe the same principles that you do, that's the key to success.
No, that's pivotal. And I think following that formula consistently.
Yeah.
You're setting checklists, standards, the work you do, if it's not tight, it's not right.
Correct.
And the last thing you want is, when you have a weekend with your family and there's emergencies.
Mm-hmm.
But if there are, you have systems in place that someone's going to go out and fix what's wrong.
Yeah. Like happened 2 days ago. We got 2 emergencies in 2 different DEP plants, and my main guy who handles that is out. So we didn't skip a beat. Just everybody picked up the slack and we're going to do what we got to do. So
the team knows the job needs to get done and does it.
Correct.
Okay. And then is that just like this part of your culture here at Delphi?
Yes.
Right. And then when you name that company, right? It's very symbolic and as Greeks.
Yes.
How did you what does that place mean to you in terms of?
So the funny story behind the name, my dad wanted to name it Delta, but then he got a cease and desist from Delta Faucets, so we had to change it to Delphi.
That's funny.
But what that place means, there's a lot of history and culture in that place. In mythology, warriors would go to Delphi and ask the oracle for advice on how to win the war and get cryptic messages back, and that changed courses in history, right? So,
yeah. No, it's very powerful place. I've even visited there, and you could tell that, people ask questions. It's like when someone asked who's the smartest person in the world, and they said, oh, it's Socrates. And he really could care less.
Yeah.
Like when they went up to him, and they're like, it's you. It's like, well, he knows I know nothing, meaning there's always more to learn.
Correct.
Like, I'm going to assume you went to trade school.
I did my apprenticeship, yeah.
Right. So you worked, you learned skills. You didn't pretend that you knew it all when you started.
I would like to think I did, but
okay. But you learned over time.
Yeah.
You learned over time, right? And because of that, there's levels in your business, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like when someone says a master plumber, right, is coming to fix your work,
mm-hmm.
right, or a series of master plumbers, that builds certainty and trust, right, that the person has gone through those continuing education standards, continuous training, maybe knows what's the new tools based on what you research, and then when they show up, they're orderly, they're clean, they're polite, and they get the job done,
mm-hmm.
right? And so when you hold these, I would say above the standard, ways, you're going to maintain those contracts with the city. Because, as a private contractor, I've gone out of my way to say I would never work with government because of the wall of bureaucracy.
Yeah. The webs of bureaucracy.
Oh, webs. Yeah. Okay. See, I can't even use the right identification.
Once you pass the first wall, there's probably three more behind that.
Oh, I had no idea. See, I'm simple. I just look at the outside and I don't want to go in.
Yeah.
Once you enter the halls of City Hall, and you say these are beautiful old buildings with antiquated plumbing,
mm-hmm.
right, and perhaps systems that aren't safe, and water pipes that might have lead,
mm-hmm.
right, and then city mains that break,
mm-hmm.
right, and then you have to have the equipment on hand or maintain good vendor relationships so that you get what's needed quickly to the job.
Absolutely.
So how do you go about managing all that, like, to make sure that your parts are nearby and you can tend to something timely when needed?
So most of the people that we deal with now, my father started that relationship 4 years ago, and construction is a very small world, right? So if you make a relationship with somebody at company A, 20 years ago, they're going to be at company B, right? And as long as you maintain a relationship, you're going to have that person to call when you need something, right? So with our vendors, it's very conversation like this. We don't really deal with the big guys like Ferguson and, the ultra corporate vendors because there is no personal handshake deal. You know what I mean? So, it's being an honest person and respecting other people and building that relationship.
That's pivotal. I noticed some of the same patterns and trends in the HVAC space. You mentioned Ferguson. Like, I buy from them. I have friends who buy from them. They don't care about the sales rep. The sales rep barely even say thank you.
Right.
Here's the price. Oh, can you get a better price? Okay, so it's all about the price.
Because they're the biggest guys out there.
Right.
On this side, on the East Coast. Yeah.
Well, we have a location in South Philadelphia where people go. That's 19th and Washington Avenue, in case anyone's looking. But most people don't know how to fix things anymore. Right? Like, I grew up watching Bob Vila's This Old House and his PBS specials, and you're like, oh, look, someone on their weekend can learn a skill. Right?
Right.
But now people learn computer skills. They learn information technology. They learn they learn how to work those channels rather than the trades. So if fewer people enter the profession, does that help you long term, hurt you, or how do you manage?
So it's both, right? Because even right now, construction is starving for tradespeople to do the work, right? The supply is much more, the demand is much more than supply. So just economics, as we go and that trend continues, these kind of jobs are going to be more in demand than they are even now. And if nobody wants to do them, that demand grows, and you're going to have plumbers making $250,000 a year because there's nobody else to do it.
Oh, so you're saying the supply and demand will just push the cost of
100%.
getting the person to the job higher because the calls will be coming in and it's first come, first serve.
Yeah, it's the old story of the guy who comes into the factory to fix the machine, hits it with a hammer, and walks away and gives the bill for $1,000 and explains. The owner's like, well, why is it $1,000? I know how to hit the hammer in the right spot.
It's that expertise.
Right.
It's like when Picasso, a server somewhere in Europe said, Picasso, can you sketch something on a napkin? Sure. Sketches something. Hey, can I have that? Sure. 30 grand. What?
Right.
Why 30 grand? It took me 70 years to be this good.
Correct.
I mean, honestly, if she had that 30 grand ready, right, they're probably worth $3 million now.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
So people have to see the value in a good investment, right? And the city, they don't want to buy cheap stuff from Home Depot, right? They have standards they got to employ, right? Mm-hmm. Thicker pipe, higher standards. Again, I can't even, you could speak to that because I'm not even in that space. Like, talk to me about whether it be the safety standards or just how you plan to be more efficient, right? Because resources are scarce, they're like water, and we want to make sure that it's running properly, that we're not leaking, that, but maybe even filtered on occasion. Because we talked about that separately for the home, how important it is to have clean water into your home for your family, for your cooking.
Yeah.
In your municipal work, people have water fountains. They have sinks for the bathrooms. Like, how do we know that they're working properly? What kind of systems do you maintain in place so that everything is literally flowing properly?
So most of our work is wastewater treatment. New York City has 12 wastewater treatment plants plus 50 or so pumping stations to move that stuff around to the plants, and another, I don't know how many facilities for treating stormwater, and because New York City is an old city, right? So there's always something that's breaking. There's always something that needs to be fixed. These plants are massive. We deal with 24, 36, 48-inch pipe. And if something goes down, they're dumping into the Hudson River. So.
Oh, that's not the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. And a side note, if it rains in New York City, do not go to the beach the next day.
Oh, okay. Thanks for that travel tip.
You're welcome.
Make sure we put that on social media. Hey, welcome New York.
Yeah.
Stay away from Jones
because
Beach.
New York City, again, is an old city, and the sewers are combined sewers, and if it rains a lot, the plants can't handle the flow and it goes out.
Well, it is. I think when they started in the 1800s, they didn't count that the city would multiply by 10.
Right.
You would expand further into the sky.
I think it's even more than that, but yeah.
And like, let's say when you go consider other countries like Dubai, when they built the Burj Khalifa, they didn't sync up their wastewater systems properly. And so I don't know if it's continued to be a problem, but at one point they had 20 trucks pump sewage every 4 in the morning before everybody wakes up from whatever they went, a late night party. They're pumping out the stuff.
Not only the sewage. I was in Dubai. Oh. We stopped there for a couple of days on our honeymoon before we went to Maldives, because you have to stop there. Their water, maintaining the water for all the green that they have in the middle of nowhere in the desert, was not properly sized either. Their roads were not correct.
Oh, so the whole infrastructure plan's off.
Right. Yeah.
So, that just doesn't work. And see, that's where you start thinking, like, that scenery picture looks beautiful.
Yeah.
The brochure looks perfect, right? But, what's the system behind the wall?
Yeah. Each section of the Dubai, there's only one road in and out. So you can imagine the traffic.
Oh, my. So at least Vegas, you already know it's kind of a fake city. You got fake New York, fake Eiffel Tower, fake this, fake that.
But at least Vegas is grid.
Right. You're fully connected to the grid. You got full power. You got beautiful fountains. You got all kinds of great stuff, and it's set up properly. Even if within the desert, they know how to channel their water. Mm-hmm. But being Greek, right? And I spent some time in Greece this year on the island of Chios. it didn't rain till November, right? So then when the water runs, it runs everywhere, right? And then you have old wells, right? And you're pumping from these old wells to water the fields. And some of these systems, they get updated. You know, they use words that we translate here, like, what's that word? Like, oh, it's a pump. You know, like, it sounds so fancy. But, you know, can you speak to, let's say, you know, from your travels, you know, what other countries might be doing better in terms of the plumbing systems that we're doing?
I know there's different technology that's approved in Europe and not approved so much in New York City. Even outside New York City, there's technology that's approved, such as press gas lines, and we just got press water lines, I don't know, 10 years ago. It's been out in Europe for 15, 20.
You're talking about PAX lines or?
No, press copper.
Oh, pressed.
Yeah, now they have press gas.
Wow.
So it's a steel fitting that you press.
Oh, well, that'll help your job. Again, you get more done in less time.
When that technology came out, we adopted it very quickly. And beyond that, we've adopted drawing and BIM capabilities and 3D modeling very quickly, which helps everybody in the field. And now even they have goggles you can put on and you can see all the pipes in the air or whatever you're building as you walk around the building.
You can see through the walls.
Yeah, it's like virtual reality goggles. You put on and you can see the drawings up, but actual in the air in front of you.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. So projection your grid plan to the wall so that you can. It's easier to explain it.
Yeah. You don't have to look at drawings anymore. Okay, I see my 3 lines that I got to put up, and we'll run the lines here.
Right, because the other thing that's important in plumbing is to make sure we run the right lines to the right place.
Yeah, 100%.
Right, because if someone says, "Oh, run 100 feet," but which direction?
Right.
If we're off in our directions, then what are you going to do? Just
I mean, plumbing's kind of easy. Shit goes downhill, so
it does.
You're gonna go out.
It does, as long as gravity works.
The water goes up. So as long as you got a booster system to make it go up.
Well, that's the other thing, and I noticed just in simple systems, residential systems, if the line's not aerated, it's, you know, like you said, things don't flow properly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and people rush to finish up houses, and the standard's not there. But, you know, in your space, you know, these are systems that affect millions of people. If something goes wrong, you know, you don't want your company name, your family name to look bad.
Correct.
So you want to make sure, like I said, you are on point about what you do, how you do it, and how quickly you attend to it.
Yeah. Speaking of that, one of our core values is hold the standard, right? So how you do something is how you do everything.
Yeah.
That applies. That pipe better be straight and where it's supposed to go and look pretty, even though nobody's ever going to see it again because there's going to be a wall blocking it. But we see it before the wall closes.
Oh, yeah. Let somebody discover your work in 50 years when they renovate the space again.
Mm-hmm.
Let they see how good work used to be. Right? And let that pipe hold strong, you know, for a long time. And I think it's important that people do the job right the first time, not only because your company reputation, your core values, which is super important, but you're doing right by your customer.
Absolutely.
You know, you're not trying to milk job and say, well, if more things break, I get to do more work. Like, that's really short-sighted. And when I see people do that or even think that way, I don't want to work with them.
Right.
I want to, you know, get the job done and almost feel the customer's pain. Be like, oh, I'm sorry that there was a flood in the office. I'm sorry that there was a problem with the waistline. I'm sorry that the last people messed up. Like, how often do you pick up work because the last company didn't do a good job?
Not often, because we do a lot of new work.
Okay.
But I mean, we've taken over jobs before,
right?
Because of the other guy.
Right, the other guy.
Yeah.
Right. See, they don't even have names.
Right.
Because they may not even exist. They may not have proper standards. If you use the word core value, you don't even know what that means.
Right.
Right. And when you set these values, you know, you live to those rules. Right. You're setting the standard, and then telling your team, come join me. Right. You're walking in step with them, and I imagine if needed, probably still you'll turn a wrench.
Of course.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about the last time you jumped in a job.
I will jump in a job whenever I have to.
Okay.
So the good thing about that and about my guys is that they know that I will do that. When I was more out in the field than now, I would not send anybody to go do something that I wouldn't go do myself. Right. So I've done everything that I would ask somebody to do. And if I haven't, I'm going up there with you for the first time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that way, they see the leader with hands on the job.
Yeah.
Properly equipped, knowing how that job got done. And if needed, I imagine they could call you or somebody on the team for support if they need it while they're on the job.
100%.
So see, being willing, because, when you put yourself out there, I think that there's always that kind of concern of, hey, if there's something I've not seen before, or I'm not sure how to do, better to ask for help now than to put duct tape over the solution.
Yeah. As far as if I haven't seen anything before. Yeah. So, I am big on asking opinions of the people around me who know more than me. I'm not in the field anymore, right? So if I want the real answer, I'm going to the field. I'm asking the guys putting the work in. What do you need? How can we do this better? Okay, this took a little longer than we were supposed to. What happened? This happened. Okay, this is how we're going to prevent it from happening again, right? Also, coming as the owner's son, I had a lot to prove because I had the last name, right? So everybody looked at me like, you're only here because of your dad, right?
So you had to conquer that.
I did. And there was one conversation I had with my dad. I was upset that they kept making me go get coffee. And his answer was, the worst guy on the job goes to get coffee. Don't be the worst guy on the job.
Oh, so this was a challenge.
Yeah. He's like, I can go and tell them not to send you for coffee, but you will never live that down. That will be your reputation for the rest of your life here. So
he challenged you on the spot. Said you got to outgrow that. You can't be the guy who fetches coffee.
Correct.
That reminds me, and you probably heard this story already. Like when Ed was golfing with his kid, and Max wasn't doing so well that day. So the other guy said, "Hey, go get the sandwiches." And Ed got really angry, and he gave his kid like the pep talk of a lifetime. He says, "Look, we're going to coach you. We're going to make sure that you don't become the guy who fetches the sandwiches." Right. So because you don't walk in with a suit at this kind of work, right? Because you're willing to get your hands dirty, get bloody on the job, maybe hurt your knuckles when you're trying to turn something, or work off hours because the job needed to get done, you earn your stripes.
100%.
Right? And, you're in New York, us, like East Coast city type, like we respect when somebody, basically gets in the trench, gets in the ditch.
Yeah.
He literally steps in the shit. And I imagine there's been times when you stepped in.
I've been in plenty of shit.
Okay, I texted you the other day. I said that's part of your job, not just as in your plumbing, but as a father.
So here we say it smells like money.
Okay, see, you reframed it. You reframed it. Now the perspective is wider.
That's right.
You're like, oh, now it smells like roses.
Yeah.
It is like when you do the work that others don't want to do. That's what they start calling blue oceans. Right?
Correct.
You've said that people have left the area, right, for greener pastures in the last few years because of whatever the world brought us in the last few years. I'm just going to put it that way. And, some people have set up shop in Arizona or Florida. And you stay true to New York. What keeps you here?
I like New York City a lot. There's the element that we won't get into.
Sure.
Because that's a whole nother conversation.
We can have a different channel if you ever wanted to.
Why do I stay here? My family's here. I grew up here. There's a lot more people here that think like we do that are still trapped here. And I'm saying trapped, they're not oppressed, but you know what I'm trying to say.
Can't afford to leave.
Right.
So this is all they know.
They can. But they're rooted here. Why do you want to leave your home?
Oh, same thing in Philly. There's people who've never gone on a plane.
Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, you got to.
I've met some people who going to the shore, going to Atlantic City, Ocean City, Cape May if you're going nice, or LBI if you're a little fancy. That's living it up.
Okay.
Where you said Maldives, and I probably think Key West or some of the Greek islands, or just open to new adventures.
Right.
And you're like, I need to see something new that I haven't seen before.
Yeah.
That's what life is.
Right.
Right. It's seeing new things and then coming back home.
Yeah.
Right. So that way,
like I anywhere I go, I got to come back here. In 3 days, I'm itching because.
Oh, you can't sit still. You got to get back to work.
No, because the drive here is. Go, 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 go. I can't switch from that yet. Maybe one day, but not yet.
It's and again, we're both Dimitri. That's why I'm wearing the Dimitri shirt. Mm. Again, I'm with the E's and he has the I's. So I'll defer to you. You're more handsome than me. That's okay. Oh, I said, no homo, all love.
Yeah.
Even though we've, as Greeks, invented everything. We have a rich heritage, and I think one thing is that as Greek people, we love to serve our customers.
Mm-hmm.
Like we take pride in knowing that we did a good job, and that you hold true your family name. Like you honor your father, you honor where you came from, because do you want to go into your roots? Like you shared that one of your ancestors came through on a famous ship.
Yeah. When did I share that? When we were in St. Louis?
Yeah, we were in St. Louis, yeah.
So my mom's mom's side came over on the Mayflower. They're somewhere in that lineage were related to King Charles from England. And also in that lineage is John Hancock.
Wow.
Yeah, and then on the other side, you have my dad who came from Piraeus in Greece, from, the slums there back then. Came here, built himself up, went to a union, decided it's not for me, and went on his own, and here we are. So,
wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's like two ships that came together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because Piraeus is the port capital, right? Where all the stuff ships out of all over the world. And to be part of the founding of this country, John Hancock, who was bold, with the signature so big that the king could see it, right? Not King Charles, but it was King George at the time. But that was bold to say, hey, I'm going to put my life on the line because I'm going to stand for freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And then being Greek is, we had to go through as a people just to get our freedom back.
Mm-hmm.
Right? We had to be willing to die and fight to get our independence. And you probably have relatives in the war, but my papu, Dimitri, fought in the war of 1940 and 45 against the communists. First against the Italians, then against the communists, because, you have to be willing to fight for freedom or you don't have a life. And here it's like, we need to be strong, not just in our business, but in our lives. Like, talk about how important it is to be a fit leader, to be strong. Speak to that, because I think a lot of times in the trades, people just eat donuts.
Yeah.
Or junk food, and they're in a hurry. So you got to get to the job, so you're going to run to the Wawa or convenience store and get junk, because, that's what I like. But you want your team healthy, I imagine.
Yes. So first to that is leading by example, right? So you have to be what you want everybody else around you to be. Otherwise, you're just a hypocrite. One of my main guys, I showed him a picture of himself from a few months back. And since then, he's lost 30 pounds. And now he's challenging me. I'm going to beat you, and I'm going to be,
Oh, I like that. I like this. That's iron sharpens iron.
Right.
Okay.
So that's the kind
so you welcome that challenge.
Yeah. That's the kind of
culture. It makes us all better.
Yeah. So, but besides that, being fit and active and all that, that brings you personally to a different level than if you were not fit and active and doing hard things, right? Hard things makes you stronger. So I work out in the morning before I come here. So around 4:30, before I get to work, I've worked out, I've taken a cold shower, I've, gotten myself ready for the day, because once that's done, it doesn't matter what anybody else is going to do. I already beat myself up. You know what I mean?
You've endured.
Yeah.
You've endured. And I've noticed myself adopting these habits since the fall, like it transforms your life.
Yeah.
You're really
100%.
clear. You're ready to catch what's ever coming, because every day there's new uncertainties, new things that should have gone right but didn't.
Right.
You got to course correct.
My best thinking comes right at the end of a workout, once you pass the point where your head's telling you need to stop, right? Or right after a workout.
I know, I'm with you. We saw.
And I have to keep my phone there so I can write stuff down.
Well, there's moments of inspiration.
Yeah.
Right? And there's clarity. And I think that's like, whether it's the divine or the within, like whatever you want to follow, you're like, hey, go do this. Like for me, yesterday was, hey, go read a prayer book. Where did that message come from? I sit there, I read a prayer book for an hour between like 5:30 and 6:30. I feel better. Then I go exercise, start the day. Hey, the day went better. Right? Then I had an interview. I was clear. I was ready.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like these things build momentum. Right? And as Ed would say, extremity builds capacity. Like you start stretching yourself. Right? When you first hit the gym, I imagine the first day you worked out, you didn't lift what you lift now. You didn't try to lift what you lift now.
No.
Right? Because if you did, you might have hurt yourself.
Yeah.
But you worked your way up. One level at a time, testing your limits, and then pushing past them.
But that's life in general, right?
Yeah.
That can be applied everywhere. It's just by applying it in fitness first, it goes to all the other aspects of your life, right?
Yes.
You have the consistency, and that's the most important thing in anything, is to keep doing the hard thing until it's not hard anymore.
Oh, yeah. Well, I like that. That was, what they say, Nick Saban quote, like, we don't keep doing it until we get it right. We keep doing it until we can't get it wrong.
Right. Yeah.
And when I heard that, I'm like, man, you know how often you have to practice to make it that perfect? You're like, good. You're like, good. That sets you apart. When others kind of quit and say, oh, time's up. I got to go home now. Like, but the job's not done.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, sorry, we need you here for a few more hours, or we need to call in somebody else to cover. You know what I mean? So you plan out your work and get the work done. And I love that no excuses. And I always have respect for people in the plumbing profession, because like they're happy to literally fix the shit.
Yeah.
To fix what's wrong. Sometimes be funny about it. And I think, like, talk about the humor in your profession. Talk about how funny people are.
I don't know how clean you want to keep it on.
You can be, let it rip. I don't care.
No, there's a lot of
potty humor.
Yeah.
Let's go that way. Let's go that way. In case your kids are listening. Yeah. But, it is, you have to make light of the heavy work that you do.
Yeah.
Right? And I think you build camaraderie and friendship. You're able to, eat together, hang out together. And then, I think in the future, you're going to plan to have like a reward system for your team.
Yes.
Right. Like talk about the importance of not just incentivizing, but recognizing people for good work that they've done.
I forgot who said it, but somebody said that recognition is more important than monetary gains, right? For employees. I mean,
that makes sense.
Merit comes with the money also, but so what we're setting up is a system where we get points for, showing that you are doing the core values, or you are taking a step beyond safety besides what the standard is, right? Because we don't reward the standard, we reward above the standard. Also, I'm in the middle of creating a path to success. So if somebody comes in here at a lower level, whether it's an apprentice or a project assistant or an admin assistant, somebody in the office, there's a way and a clear path that they can see, how do I get from point A to point B, and how do my goals as the employee fit into the goals of the company and growing and all that? Because we've had in the past, not problems, but people outgrew us, and I'm trying to, like, I'm pretty sure Ed said this, make the vision so big that everybody fits in it, right?
So as someone grows, there's still a place on your bus for them.
Yeah, and if there's not, that's my fault, right?
So you got to keep the company growing to keep everyone engaged and excited.
Yeah.
Cool. So that way your culture fosters enthusiasm.
Yeah.
They're happy to do that work.
Yeah. Like what I say to the guys in the field is, my job is to keep you working, right? That's my only job. You got to go put in the work. But if you don't have work tomorrow, that's on me.
Oh, yeah. So you got to line up people's schedule. That's a heavy burden as a leader.
Yeah.
Because, you got, those, I don't have to remind you, but you already know, those hours are on you. Those kids, the kids, their needs, they're going to school.
We have, families that work for us. Right. We have uncles and nephews that work for us. I got father and sons that work for us.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, so you're not only you may not be the only first and second generation here. You might have father and son teams
actually,
that also came here too.
Yep.
Right. So meaning they see that this is a good family business, right? With structure and systems and welcomes people.
Yeah.
Like
it's to the point where they said we're a family, not me.
That's good. See, when they remind you of your culture, that means they not only bought in, but it's like they're almost like baptized into it. You know what I mean? Like they're transformed. They're like, this is where I belong. Somebody else might call me, offer me extra $1,000. I don't need to go nowhere.
Right.
Because what if that person's not a good leader? What if they don't live in integrity? But
Yeah, and if speaking to that, if somebody's there just to jump every year and make money, you don't want that person either, right?
It's a test of loyalty, I imagine, at some point. Some people have greater needs, and I imagine you're in a place where if somebody has needs, hey, come on in. You want more work? You can get more hours.
Yeah.
Right? I imagine there's a place for that here, right? You get more work coming in all the time. Mm-hmm. And if someone's proven themselves and you say, hey, look, I got this, I got to buy a car soon. And cars cost more. and normally I'm putting in 40 hours. If I put in 10 more hours a week, is there room for that?
Yeah.
See how easy that is? But most people are afraid to have that conversation, right? Mm-hmm. But you having that openness and willingness and sharing with your team that's cool. The door's open and, tell me how much money you need to make and we'll help you get there.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's very, I would say, like eye-opening. That
it's working backwards.
Right. But that a company owner thinks, hey, what do you need? Right. And most companies, let's say in the trades, things are trending towards private equity, hedge funds that are buying up these companies. Mm-hmm. Right. And so looking to the future, do you see any of your kids wanting to enter the business? I think we kind of touched this in an earlier discussion, but what do you see? What do you see in
my kids? One of them is still in diapers, so
okay.
I hope
it's too soon to tell.
My oldest son,
okay,
and will come and help me with tools anytime I have tools.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
good.
So we're building a new office 2 avenues up, and I brought him there, and he jumped right in with the guys and took their tools and started putting stuff together.
That's great.
So that's good.
Okay, so he's taken to the trades, and I think you would be happy to just hand it over to him if he's earned it.
Yes, if he's earned it.
Right. You don't just get it because you're Sidiropoulos.
Correct.
the name is important, but you got to stand behind the name.
Yeah, you can't be the guy getting coffee.
Right. Right. You got to hire the person to bring the coffee, or tell people to get it themselves.
Well, yeah.
Well, I really want to thank you for being on the show, and if on closing thoughts, what would be one lesson you want to tell rising tradespeople, whether it be plumbers or anybody else, on how to handle themselves, how to maintain good customer service? What's 1 or 2 lessons you want to share with people on how to just be their best in this business?
One would be keep doing the hard work, right? Whether it's personal and, your own development, right? Because eventually it's not going to be hard anymore. And you're going to break through whatever that is. And after that, there's going to be something else that's hard, right? So you got to be able to consistently bang your head against the wall until that wall breaks and then run forward to the next one and keep going, right? And be the person that you want everybody around you to be, right? Because they're going to look at you and, for example, if I walk onto a job site and I'm not wearing all my PPE, how do I expect everybody else to wear it? Right? Be the example. And that's it. Show respect, give respect, and do the hard things.
That's a good code to live by. And so I'm really honored to know you, to meet you, and kind of come to your office where, all the magic happens.
I appreciate you coming. And hopefully next time we're in the new office and get a better view.
Okay. And if you ever want to challenge me like dirty job style, come in and dress up, I'll go jump into the ditch.
Okay.
we can see how the dirty work really happens.
We'll go smell the money.
Hey, that's what. Thanks. I look forward to it. Thank you, Dimitri.
Thank you.
All right.